guys, Aggression here. Today's video is going to be a review on this lovely machine, and it's going to be as honest as I can. That's a lovely bike. It's going to be as honest and as brutal as I can about the bike, because there are some things that I love, and there really is one particular thing I fucking hate. Excuse the language, but I really do hate it. Come on, people, let's get your ass moving. So in terms of, I guess, the build quality of this bike, I'd say it's a pretty good build quality. I haven't had anything fallen off or break or anything dramatic. Nothing like that's ever happened to this bike. Reliability is outstanding. I've never had any problems with it starting or not going or anything like that. It's always been, bloody hell, there you go, hit neutral there. Everyone can have a laugh at me. The reliability is amazing. The fuel mileage is absolutely amazing again. I mean, I fill up about £10 a week. I wouldn't even be able to estimate the amount of miles. Probably a couple of 100 miles a week I do, depending on if I go out for rides with my friends or not. I mean, everything about this bike I love. The shape is a little bit of a weird one for me. I prefer the newer model shape now. Now that I had a ride of one of the newer ones, some of the shape I like a bit more. But on the whole, this bike is outstanding. I mean, for power, you're not really going to get a lot. Obviously, it's only a 125 at the end of the day. I've put everything possibly, every performance kind of part you can put on, in exception to like the power commanders and stuff like that, because I just don't want to spend that amount of money on it. I may do in the future, but I don't really think it's worth it for this type of bike. You're probably not really going to get much more out of it. I've had this bike up to 90 miles an hour, or just over, I think, maybe 95, which is fast, I think, personally, for a 125. I think that's fast. I will be doing a 0 to 60 video pretty soon. I think it's around about 12 seconds. But obviously, as I said, my bike's fully kitted out, so we'll see what this does. If it maybe does it a little bit quicker, might take even longer, you never know, we'll see. I mean, I can't even think of anything to fault this bike on, apart from the gearbox. And this is one thing that I've discussed with many other people that have this bike, and this bike seems to have the problem, and I've been told it's because this bike, to save on the budget, they did not put, or they didn't design a gearbox for this bike. They donated it from, I think it was a motocross bike or something along them lines, so it's not a super sports gearbox. I mean, although this bike isn't really a super sports in my eyes, it's claimed to be one, but I don't personally think it is. I mean, I guess it is in its own little world. But the gearbox, I've had loads of problems with it. I know a buddy, his one jumps out of third gear, mine jumps out of first and second back to neutral. It has trouble going into first gear sometimes, and it has trouble getting out of first gear sometimes. It will jump out of gears. A few of my friends have the exact same problems as me. And it is a pain in the bloody arse, because you look like an absolute moron. But that is really the only thing I can fault this bike on. Everything else is amazing on it. The brakes, I can't even begin to explain what the front brake like is on this bike. I've been told by a few people that ride the YZF and have then moved from the YZF to this bike, that the front brake on the YZF without the ABS was absolutely appalling. They said it was horrible. This bike, the front brake is amazing. It stops you so quickly and you virtually can never lock it up. I've locked the front wheel up twice. Once was on purpose. Well, I say on purpose. I was having a mess about and I locked it up. So I suppose I wasn't deliberately trying to lock it up, but I wasn't actually braking in an emergency. And then one other time where somebody was right up my arse driving like an idiot and I had to slow down for a roundabout. There was no chance. I was doing about 70 odd miles an hour. I wouldn't have made it around that roundabout. The shape the roundabout goes into, it's not just one that you can glide straight over. You've got to turn straight away. I mean, I've gone around that roundabout a little bit slower than that, about maybe 50, 60 before, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it at that speed with this car right up my arse. And that other time I locked the front wheel up, then I didn't crash, it just locked up and I let go of it obviously and then grabbed it again. The rear brake seems to be spot on. I'm not really a fan of the rear brake. I only ever really use it if I am carrying a pillion, because it kind of doesn't burden their arms as much as the front brake. Apparently that's what I've been told by other people that I've taken on the back. So if it helps, it helps. I don't mind using it, but it seems to be spot on. I've never locked that up either. I've tried to lock it up a few times and it's not locked up. So I mean, there's not much more I can say. It stops you spot on. All the brakes seems to be spot on this bike. I've slowed myself down for some really nasty situations before and I've come out perfectly fine. Tyres are a main thing for most people. They're really thrown off by this bike because of the tyres. Now I will say, yes, they did scare me initially. They really did. But they are fine. In the wet you've got to be careful, but you would have to be careful on any bike. It's no different. I know the newer version has slightly bigger front and rear tyres, which does help apparently. But I mean, these tyres, they're spot on. I've never had a problem ever with them. And I'll stop over here in a minute and show you my little chicken strips. I'm not claiming to be the best rider in the universe, but I'm just showing you what these tyres are capable of. I've got the standard front tyre on it. I've not had to change that since buying this, but I did have to change the rear because it was pretty bald. But I've got Contigo on the back. I mean, you can see the blister in there. There's a tiny chicken strip on the front. You'll also see my new rim tape. That's part of the new mods. Excuse the pillion helmet. I'm giving my mum a lift home. And you've got the rear tyre, which should be on this side, obviously. Idiot. You can see some blister in there, but the chicken strip as well. So I've taken these tyres pretty far over. I've not had a problem with them. My slider, as you can see, is pretty worn down, so obviously you can guess from that I've done quite a few knee downs on this bike. And as I've said, I've never had a problem. Obviously I've not attempted it in the wet because I'm not stupid. But they haven't been particularly warm days like today. They've just been normal average days for the UK. I've not had any problems at all. So I mean, as I've said, I can't fault the bike on anything else other than the gearbox. They claim that they fixed it in the 2015 model, but I mean, it's taken 13 years since the first CBR125 came out to fix it. And I know other bikes had that problem. I think it was the Phasers that had a similar problem with the gearboxes jumping out of gear. But it's just, it shouldn't happen, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's Honda. they've got seemingly bulletproof engines and they haven't got a well-functioning gearbox. It's a bit of a letdown in my eyes. But I mean, I absolutely love this bike. Everything else about it is amazing. The handling is amazing on this bike. I've not really got much to compare it to as of yet, but the handling has never failed me. Same with the brakes. Obviously, as I've said, in terms of the performance ability, it's going to be fairly limited, but it does for now. I mean, I'm personally a little bit bored of this bike, and that is my honest opinion. I would like more top speed and obviously better acceleration. But I'm going to have to stick with this for a while and get over it at the end of the day. But this bike is amazing for what it is, what it does. It's perfectly reliable, never had any problems with it. In the wet, it's fine. As I said, obviously be wary because your tyres will slip. It happens anyway with any bike, no matter what you've got. You've got to be careful in the wet. I wonder what's happened here. Police line, do not cross. Probably a stabbing or something ridiculous. So much Yamaha. Got a nod as well. Yeah, I mean, I can't fault this bike on anything at all. It's just spot on. It really is. Yep, never had any problems with it overheating. I've never really had any problems with it at all. Yeah, I mean, in terms of all the basic stuff, obviously I've had to replace certain things like the rear tyre, things you will have to replace anyway. It's not like they're poor quality or anything. Things need to be replaced eventually, and that's what happens. I think I did have to replace the left fork seal because that was blown. I've replaced that. I replaced it with a genuine Honda part. Dickhead driving like an arsehole. And I've had no problems with that at all. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, everything else is spot on this bike. I have actually, I don't think I've updated you on this. I did upload a picture on Instagram, but I have changed the original foot pegs. I'll try and give you a look at them in a minute. They're off the CBR125R fire blades because my crappy genuine one there's a new 125. Let's get up next to him actually. Because the genuine foot pegs, well, I think that's the same colour scheme as mine. That's quite nice. The genuine ones, the rubber came off the end and they were about £20 to replace. I wasn't interested in spending that amount of money on these foot pegs. And I think these CBR 1000s were only, on this roundabout, we're only about £10 to replace. They required a little bit of altering, unfortunately. Not a bad rider, I'll give him that. They did require, yeah, as I said, a slight bit of altering, but it was worthwhile because these foot pegs are spot on. They're miles better than, I should have stopped over there, I completely forgot about that. They're miles better than the stock rubber ones. They're awful. I mean, hopefully you got a good view of them there. But obviously for you that know, you can look it up anyway and you'll know what they are. And obviously check out my Instagram, there's a picture of them on there with the new rim tape. But yeah, these feel much better in my personal opinion. From the stock ones, I hated them. I mean, other than that, there's not much I can say. This bike is spot on in every aspect apart from the gearbox. And a few people have said that is because of learners kind of giving the gearbox a bit of a beating when they're breaking it in, which is obviously going to cause more wear and tear on it. I mean, I'm sure maybe if you replaced it and you took a little bit more care of it, if your bike has that problem, it'd probably be fine. I might look into doing it depending on how much it costs. I think one of my friends is going to do it because he needs his to get to work, and he wants his to be kind of spot on all the time. He doesn't want to have it jumping out of gear. So obviously, depending on the price, I might look into it myself. But I mean, other than that, that is really the only thing I can fault this bike on. This bike is perfect in every other aspect. Tyres, they're fine. Brakes, spot on. I'm going to get braided brake lines. That may even make them even better. But to be honest, I can't imagine any better than what these already are. They're perfect. Yeah, everything about this bike is spot on. It really is. Make sure it doesn't jump into neutral. See, that's another thing it does that I was explaining. If I'm stopped, sometimes it will jump out first, back into neutral, and I'll rev up the bike and go nowhere. Yeah, it is spot on. This bike is amazing. I would 100% recommend this bike over any other 125. In my personal opinion, they look the best. As far as I've seen, they seem to perform the best. There are claims that the Yamaha have a bit better build quality. Certain things I do agree they look a little bit better. They've spent a little bit more money on them. But I don't know a lot about them. As I've said before, I'm probably going to look into doing reviews on other bikes. So I'll take them out for test rides, hopefully, and get some reviews of different bikes for you guys. And let you know my honest opinion on them as well. I'm not kind of brand biased. I'm not going to say just because I've got a Honda, the Yamaha's crap. If it's a good bike, I will say it's a good bike. I want a Yamaha eventually. I want to try out most of the different bikes. So I'm not just team Honda. I do like other bikes. So I will give my honest opinion on them. Other than that, I'm looking at doing reviews on products as well, kind of things I own, like the GoPro, the Center. I will start to do more reviews just to give a little bit of different content aside from just vlogs. I will still be doing the vlogs, they won't go anywhere, but I'm just trying to get a little bit of a wider footage range for you guys. So I mean, let me know what you think, if you think that's a good idea, or any other better suggestions you may have. I'd appreciate it, anything to help my channel grow, and for me to entertain you people a lot more, and to put up some clips that you may want to, or that you may be more interested in, and obviously any recommended things you want me to try and do for you guys, I'll do my best to get a video out on it, or anything you might need explaining or anything like that, I'll do my best. But that's it for today's vlog, and I will catch you in the next one, guys.